Hey guys, I wanted to share this article with you. You guys know that I've been going around Manhattan, trying to rescue food, and then when I do find things, I distribute it out to the homeless. And there's been some faux pas where I give people yogurt, and then I didn't realize I didn't have a spoon on me, so now I carry plastic spoons on me. Anyway, so last time I was in Manhattan, I was across the street when I noticed there was a man who was looking through the trash, and it was one of those open air trash cans. Oh my goodness, Clinton. It was one of those open air trash cans. And Clinton, can you move? Can you move? Move. Move. The moment I start the stream is when he starts to start yelling. So it was one of those open air trash cans, and this is the trash cans people just normally toss things up top. You know, like the standard waste basket, the big ones that you see normally next to like street lights. He grabbed a Starbucks drink that was about 80% already drunk, and then he dug through and he grabbed a sandwich top, and it was just the bun. So obviously someone had bitten through it, but he just ate the bun, and I was shocked when I saw this because I was thinking to myself, okay, I know if you go through trash cans, trash bags, you can find something, but you guys know the number one thing that I've been looking for is sandwiches and prepackaged foods. It's not that easy to find this kind of stuff. I walk around and I look through the trash bags, and normally I don't find any sandwiches at all. Even finding yogurts is like hit or miss. And I'm in Midtown. So so with that in mind, I was thinking to myself, what do people normally use for water? In Hawaii, there's a lot of public parks. I see a number of water fountains around the place because of the area. There's a lot of public parks around shopping malls. So if you're a homeless individual, you could just drink from a water fountain. In Manhattan, though, I haven't found a single water fountain except maybe like some big parks, and that's quite a walk away. I looked up this article, and the link is in the description. It's also inside of the chat, the little chat room thing, and this really shows what is happening in New York. It is also one of the reasons why I don't want to really travel outside of the city or a lot of places for long distances, since it is already difficult for us to use a restroom. So if Lewis and I want to use a restroom at a place, and
Pee by a tree.
huh?
Just pee by a
You
tree.
can pee by a tree. I will not. I cannot pee on by a tree.
Why not?
I'm gonna have to take my pants off and everything. Like no.
It's a
So
skill, Erica. It's
no.
a skill.
So a lot of the places, if we want to use a restroom, even if we buy food from there, we cannot use the restroom. They will not allow us to use the restroom. When we were going to places in Jersey, if I remember correctly, there were times where I needed to use the restroom, and we would go to places and they would say sorry, no public restroom available. I got lucky because I was able to go to some McDonald's, and or I forgot what other place I went to, but I didn't have to pee on a tree. I didn't have to pee in a bush. It is a lot tougher though when you are in central Midtown Manhattan, and a lot of these places, even for patrons, I wouldn't even really know where to use a restroom for some of these places. It's really grab and go places. Little cafes, they just kind of expect you to take your stuff and just eat somewhere else. Yeah. So anyway. So with that in mind, I found this article, and then what I found out was that the homeless are really struggling to find a restroom. Even though they have trains or subways in New York, it's difficult to find a restroom. The two subways that I'm familiar with that are nearby us, there is no public restroom for you to use. So if I needed to pee, then I just have to hold it in. Yeah, that's the reason why a lot of these subways kind of smell like pee. There's just no place for you to use the restroom, and if you have a long commute from, let's say, one area of New York to another, and you have to pee suddenly around the way, I really wouldn't know where you would pee at. There's no restroom on the subway train. There's no restroom at the subway station. Yeah, it just sucks. So these people who are homeless, they said that, it's gotten to the point where if there's a closed restroom, sometimes they have to go on themselves, and it's difficult for them to find bathrooms and water, right? They A lot of these places, they don't want people to come in, so no restroom. I find that same challenge, for even if we buy something. And then water, I don't know how open they are about handing out free waters. Who knows? So this one person, Jared Mitchell, he says that he has a medical condition that he requires him to drink a lot of water, extra water. I really feel for people who are homeless with this, with this awareness after reading this article, because if you do not have access to water, or you don't have money to buy water for whatever reason, you're just going to be dehydrated. So there was a See, so they said that eateries are more reluctant to hand over free water now. Out of 32 homeless people, 6 people said that they haven't been able to stay hydrated over the last 60 days. And it just kind of reaffirms that a lot of the homeless, they do rely on McDonald's, Starbucks to give them, either food or water, or one or the other. And there's talks about having portable toilets. However, I don't know how that's going to be. Yeah. So this woman, she says that she relies on Starbucks and Penn Station, and she tries to get food um, from people on the subway. And now she notices there's more people living on the streets. A lot of the homeless people that I see, they don't wear face masks. And even if they do have face masks, there comes a problem with, how are you going to guarantee that they have an ample supply of face masks? I've seen face masks being donated at food distribution events. They only give you 1 or 2 face masks. Obviously, you need to change your face mask more than once or twice a week. See, so this person, they tried going to the hospital, and the hospital says you can't use the bathroom unless you're a patient or a visitor. That's really surprising to me, because I used to work at a hospital, and the hospital, it's just anybody can walk in. I'm not too sure how New York hospitals are. I've only been to a New York hospital once to visit someone. I don't remember really how the restrooms were, but I imagine they might have a security guard stationed out in front, or they might do like visitor badges to confirm, are you a patient, or are you a person who's visiting, so that way the homeless don't just come in to use the restroom in the facilities. Yeah, see this? Lennox Health Greenwich Village regards safety as a top priority. In order to maintain the well-being of our patients and staff, especially amid a pandemic, we do not open our restrooms to the general public. Like, okay, so you can't even go to the hospital. You can't even go to the hospital. You can't even go to the hospital for for the restroom now. That sucks.
Why would you want a bunch of homeless bums running all over the hospital taking a piss on everything?
Homeless people will not take a piss on everything in a hospital. They're going to go to the restroom.
And you know what they're going to do to the restroom? They're going to turn it into a home. Have you ever been to a restaurant or a Chipotle where they let a homeless person use the bathroom? They turn it into a fucking war zone. And if you say that out loud, people will say you're insensitive, you're an asshole, how dare you, how could you? And those are always the people that didn't have to actually experience the restroom after the homeless person utilized.
So I remember there was one time that we did go to a wolf sandwiches or something, and there was a person who was doing drugs inside of the restroom. So they obviously look kind of tweaked out of sorts. They were out of it. But here's the thing, those people, I refuse to believe it's a commonplace. I've come across homeless people in Manhattan. I've given them food. They tend to be very respectful and very polite.
Why do you think it's only in places like New York City where you need to get a key from the cashier to use the restroom in a restaurant, or they have codes on the receipt with city that you can enter the restroom. It's because people try to live in the restroom.
In Hawaii, they have the same thing to use the restroom and use it as a free public place. I get it. I really get it.
Doesn't sound like.
No, I do get it. You know, they don't want it to be like the one-stop shop for all the homeless to go over there. But I don't think that people go to the restroom with the intention to live there. Some people may do drugs over there, but it's not a common place. It's really not a common place. You can't assume that all homeless people are going to trash a restroom. There are people who really just are down on their luck and they need to go to the restroom just like every other human. We need to drink water, we need to use the restroom. It's kind of like a safe haven. And it saddens me that hospitals are turning them away. I understand why it's happening, but these homeless people, it's like they really have to just go on the streets and they might not even have that much water now because of what's going on. And mental illness is definitely a problem with the homeless, but not all homeless people have mental illness. That's what I'm trying to say. Not all homeless people are druggies. There are people who are just down on their luck. Some people, they were in abusive relationships. They had abusive parents and they left their home because of the parents. I have a friend who was a really smart guy, and then he basically got kicked out of the home and he became homeless. And then because of what happened to him, he spiraled in a downward spiral, and then speculation is he overdosed on stuff. That guy had a really bright future, but it's just what happened to him and the fact that his parents were so intolerant that kind of pushed him into that direction. Once you get kicked out of a place with no safety net, it's very hard for people to get back on their feet. Yeah, so anyway, back to the story. I guess there's a push for people to have portable restrooms around. I don't know how that's really going to go. We'll see. You need space, you need time to put these places. I don't know how people feel about porta potties. I have no problem, honestly, with porta potties being around. If you use it, then obviously be kind of aware of your surroundings. Get some Purell, get some disinfectant. But everybody, if they have to do their business, then I really feel like they should have a place to do it. Not just have like no resources at all. Yeah, see? Many homeless people once used bathrooms inside of soup kitchens, but these are no longer available. And then they tell people to wash your hands where you wash your hands. Like, I don't even know where to wash my hands if I'm outside of Manhattan. I mean, if I'm in Manhattan, you have to go in a restroom to wash your hands. And people don't really give out Purell either. So it sucks. Anyway, so I just wanted to share this with you. This is what they have in Portland. See this? This is a restroom. And they have open slats over here. So you can kind of see what's going on. I don't know how well it is. I guess maybe you could see if I don't know how you could see if someone is shooting up in this thing. But if there's prostitution, I guess you can kind of tell if there's like two legs. Just, yeah. Yeah, so that is it. I wanted to share that with you guys. It was very sobering. I wanted to speak to a homeless person today, not have it on camera because of respect to that person. And just ask them, what do you do for the bathroom? How do you get food and water right now? I'm very, very curious because I know there's limited resources. Even me just walking around, I can't even think of a place to use the restroom that would be kind of open to an average person just walking in. It's because of what's going on. Yeah, it's very sad. It's very unfortunate. I'm also thinking about with this newfound knowledge, and I'm against the idea of water bottles here, plastic water bottles, but I'm thinking about buying some 16 fluid ounce water bottles or so. I know Trader Joe's sells them for about 17 cents, carrying about 5 of them on me. And then when I walk around Manhattan, just distributing them out, because if I don't feel comfortable being able to refill my own water bottle that I carry on me all the time, for a homeless individual, they probably even have a tougher time, right? You're assuming that they have cash on them to buy water, or the places that they're hitting up will give them water, and maybe they're not. Yeah, so even though maybe 16 fluid ounces might not be much at all compared to the daily requirements, at least it would be something. And giving out, let's say, about 80 ounces of water every time I go to Manhattan, that's something that's doable that I can carry in, and I'm sure I'd be able to really give it out quite quickly. Yeah. The other thing that I was thinking about doing is carrying like a cart on me, but the problem with me carrying a big cart would kind of make me look kind of strange, having a big cart of water and then passing it out. I also just want to quietly give things to people. I don't want to constantly be asked for water. Does that make sense? Like if I have like a cart of water and passing it out to people, then it just, yeah, I don't really want that at all. I don't want there to be, I just want to quietly give it to people, Yeah. That's just something that I have in the back of my mind, and I'm thinking about going forward in that direction. I was reading this one comment that I got on one of my videos today, and the person, some commenter said, is this chick really going through the trash during a pandemic? And I was like, yeah, you betcha, kind of thing. It's sad because it's like I understand what people think, and I understand people's concerns, but I see it as I don't see it as exposing myself anymore. Do you get what I'm saying? Like this, what I do is I try to make sure that everything I pick up is clean and disinfected, and I have no problem with that kind of stuff. It's no different than me going to a grocery store, in my opinion. No, no, no. Yeah.
Grocery stores are mildly cleaner.
Mildly cleaner. I think it's fine. Yeah, so I need to get going in a few minutes. I have to, I volunteered to clean up one of the community fridges near us, and I'll see how that thing goes. I think it's just, some people had mentioned to me that, aren't you concerned about bringing too much stuff to the community fridges? No, I'm not. And one of the reasons why I'm not worried about it is I've heard from people who do host those community fridges that the community fridges can be fully restocked 3 times in one day, and it can clear out as quickly as an hour. So when people see stuff in the fridge, they'll take the stuff in the fridge. So knowing that the fridges can be emptied out so quickly, I know for a fact that if I go there and I drop stuff off, there will definitely be enough space for the stuff. And most of the time, like now when I go over there, it's empty. The only thing I really see is like carrots, maybe some yogurt, not really zucchini anymore, like beets, that kind of thing, like stuff that isn't pre-packaged, stuff that's kind of, it's more shelf stable in terms of vegetables. Yeah, and I remember today, I was walking, and someone had mentioned, someone went up to me and they said, oh, hi, miss, I was wondering, can you buy me some milk for my newborn granddaughter? And I was thinking to myself, oh crap, I like infant milk, like infant formula. And my first gut reaction was to ask them, how come WIC not supplying enough infant milk for you? Because I remember hearing that if someone is low income, there should be like WIC available to cover like infant formula or baby stuff in a sense. I'm not too familiar, but I know definitely infant formula was on there, and it just kind of surprised me. I don't know if it was genuine, if they really needed infant formula. Infant formula tends to be about $30, by the way. I don't know if it was genuine or if it was the fact that I know people resell infant formula. It's really quick to sell online. It's quick to flip. But I didn't, I declined on that, and I told them, I don't have cash on me. And which is true, I don't carry cash on me except maybe $5. And yeah, it's just like I I don't really know what the solution to that is. It's like, okay, even if I give you infant formula, like that doesn't really help solve the issue. You know what I'm saying? Like a kid needs more than one bottle of infant formula, and you guys can judge me for that if you want. But it's just like there needs to be something in place to kind of prevent this sort of thing. And I know I'm 95% sure that WIC does cover infant formula, but for whatever reason, I don't know if it's just because maybe WIC was late, or they didn't pick it up, or they ran out of it. It's when it comes down to asking a random person, hey, can you buy infant formula for my newborn granddaughter? It's just I'm just at that stage where I think, okay, well, what about after they run out of infant formula? Yeah. So, that was just, and I've been asked that before as well. And when I was in Hawaii, nobody ever asked me for infant formula. There's been at least 2 times where I've been asked specifically, can you buy infant formula for a newborn? And I just, like, my gut feeling tells me, WIC should definitely supplement for that if it is low income. And I didn't really think about it, but I told them, I said, hey, try check the community fridge nearby. And they said, yeah, they do check it for vegetables, but, they don't have infant formula. And I was like, oh, yeah, Erica. It's one of those things when they ask me for milk for the newborn kid, I automatically think like whole milk, 2% milk, and it's because I've never had a kid before that infant formula doesn't automatically spring into my head sometimes. Once they said, "Oh, infant formula," I was like, "Oh,
Sure
okay."
you've never had a kid before?
Huh? Yeah, I'm positive I've never had a kid before. Yeah. So, yeah, and they asked me, specifically for milk, so it's I don't walk around carrying infant formula. I'm kind of surprised that they just asked outright for infant formula and not, hey, do you have $2 for infant formula or $5 for infant formula? Anything you can give will help. But when I've been asked about infant formula, it's always been infant formula or nothing. It's really something. Like it's not even like give a little, but it's just I need infant formula. Just infant formula or bust. Like $30 product or bust. Yeah. So yeah, it's just something about that. Yeah. I do believe that the answer to homelessness is housing. I really believe that will help. Think that getting people off the streets, getting them into, a warm place to live, giving them food, and just kind of encouraging them to get back on their feet, not just being kicked, not just having them, okay, we'll give you food and we hope you can somehow pay New York rent. I don't think that's the answer at all. There's a lot of hidden homelessness that occurs as well. And I've two of the people that I knew for years, they became homeless. And it wasn't because they were drug addicts. It wasn't because they were lazy individuals. They were living with their parents, and they either got booted, or the situation with their parents was so explosive that they had no choice but to move out. Yeah. It's really sad. And one of them, as you know, he passed away. Uh, yeah, it was one of those things, like that person, his name was Jordan. If I had to put money on any single person at the time that would have changed the world, it would have been this guy. Like, he was so freaking smart. He had such a determination to understand things. He was taking master level classes when he was a freshman in college. Like, this guy was like, his mind was something else. His mind was something else. He was studying neuroscience. He had a full ride scholarship at at our university, fully paid for. he got into medical school, and yeah, things just kind of went downhill. Um, he married a man that he loved, and after that man passed away, abruptly, I think it was a heart attack. I'm not too sure. He moved in with his parents, and then the parents, really didn't like the fact that he was gay, and it caused all sorts of trouble. And then he moved out abruptly, and he became instantly homeless as a result of that. It's sad because in a short period of time, he lost his husband, and then he also was ostracized from his family simply for, going for someone that he loved and staying true to himself. So it's one of those things, like when people tell me, they say, homeless people are all drug addicts, or they're good for nothing people, or they're lazy. I when I think about Jordan, like, he was not anything. He was not that at all. And if people are wondering, why didn't I help Jordan? I didn't know I didn't even know Jordan came out of the closet. And there was a period of time that we kind of parted ways, and it wasn't that we had a falling out or not, but his character changed, and he was becoming cocky, and I didn't want to associate myself with a person like that. It wasn't that I hated him, but I just didn't want to be around a person like that. So after he passed away, one of his friends reached out to me, and that's how his friends reached out to me, his ex-girlfriend reached out to me, and that's when I found out the whole situation. I had no idea that when he passed away, he lived about a 5-minute walk from where I lived. Yeah. And he knew where I lived too. So that really saddened me, because had I known that he was in such a state of despair, I would have spoken to him. I don't know if I really don't think I could have housed, but at least I would have, offered him some support of sorts, because he had nobody. At the time when he, what we believe that he overdosed. I've never seen the autopsy. I know he had an autopsy done, but I never read it, and it wasn't shared with me at all. At that time, he had broken up. His ex-girlfriend dumped him. So his ex-girlfriend dumped him. He was officially homeless because he took away his keys. He was in a bad rut of sorts, and she was overwhelmed by it. So she kicked him out. I don't agree with that, because she knew he had no place else to go. But she kicked him out. She took back his keys, and then he went to his car, and because he had no place to go, absolutely none. He had no family he could turn to. His husband passed away. His ex-girlfriend kicked him out. He just, when he got into the car, he just, did what he did. Yeah. We think the suspicion is he overdosed on a mixture of pills and alcohol, but can't be too sure. Yeah. Yeah. I think, as someone who is familiar with people who did commit suicide, I can tell you that those people feel very, very lonely. And it's not that they're selfish, but I think they have so much pain within them that they just want the pain to go away. And they don't think clearly, and because they're just in so much pain. It's like if you're in a lot of pain, and then people are telling you, like, oh, it's gonna be okay, don't worry about it, you're gonna get through it. It's like they can't feel the pain that you're in. They can't feel the emotional pain you're in, or the physical pain that you're in. And that's why, when they do if they are successful and they do have a loss, it's, some people are quick to dismiss them as like, oh yeah, well, they didn't love us enough because they just, they they did that to themselves. But I've thought about it heavily, and my conclusion to that is, people who commit suicide, I feel very, very sad for them. They must have had so much pain in their life that they were willing to do what they do. And I can only pray for them, and I can only pray that they have peace. And it took me a number of years to come to this conclusion, because I had someone I've had several people in my life who've committed suicide, and I never forget these people. I never forget these people, and I can tell you from personal experience, it it doesn't become easier when you think about what happened. It just, you kind of have like a new normal, and then you just kind of remember the good parts. So yeah, for the people who are homeless and they are, they do fall on hard times, it's like I really feel bad for them. And I know there are some people who are homeless, if they have like a very bleak outlook, then they're going to be tempted to just end it all. And I can understand why. I can completely understand why. I know that it depends. Like, there are homeless programs out there, but it is tough for them to. They either have a wait list. It's not as quick as you might think it is. For shelters, from what I've been told, some people rather live on the streets and go in the shelters because the shelters have bed bugs. Some of the shelters have bed bugs, or they separate family members, and they don't want that to happen. Some people don't want the help. Yeah, some people don't want the help because there are rules involved. I don't know exactly what the rules are, but like I said, some of them involve separating the family members. Some of them involve, you cannot bring your pet with you. If you have like a pet dog, you cannot bring your pet in the shelter, and some people are not willing to give up their animals, and I understand why. I completely understand why. And the bed bug situation, I get it. I do get it. Yeah. So I found out also recently, Hawaii was like the #1 worst place for homelessness. Now it's #2. Do you know what the #1 worst place for homelessness is in the United States? New York. Yeah. Yeah. I think, yeah, it's just like I see the homeless. I saw the homeless in Hawaii, and it was just getting progressively worse. They had like clean sweeps in the park. It cost $250,000 to clean sweep. So what they would do is that they would tell the homeless individuals in that area, hey, you need to get out by X date at X time. Either that, or we're gonna throw all your belongings away, or we're gonna keep them in storage. And the storage, obviously, the homeless people aren't gonna pay money for their stuff, right? So it's, yeah. So these sweeps where they would just take people's stuff would be like $250,000. So much money. But I've heard that they've been doing better with the homelessness. They've been providing more shelter, and they've been getting more people out of off the streets in Hawaii. Yeah, so I'm happy about that. I'm happy about that. But in New York, from what I've been reading, what they're doing with homeless is some of the homeless, are keeping them in hotel rooms, and I might be remembering it wrong, but I think it was like $2 million. Like, I want to say it was a week or a month. I know it makes a big difference, but it was a big amount of money. It was, yeah, just to house them. And yeah. So I need to get going, you guys. I have to go clean that community fridge. I'm definitely gonna be late. Whoops. I wanted to share this with you guys and bring some awareness about what's going on with the homeless in New York City. Today, hopefully, I know I'm going to be able to speak to at least one homeless person, and I want to hear, what do they do about the bathroom situation? What do they do about the food situation? What do they do about the water situation? Because it's one thing to read about it, but it's also another thing to hear it directly from a person who lives on the streets and is just trying to survive right now. Yeah. So you guys take care. I hope you have a wonderful Monday. I'm kind of surprised what time it is right now. It's like 3:40 p.m. Oh, jeez. Yeah. So I will talk to you guys later. See ya.